extend a heartfelt gratitude to all of you for joining us today on the occasion of Women Entrepreneurship Day. I, Ishika Agrawal, along with Bavleen Kaur, shall be the hosts for today's session. Established in 2019, Inure is a platform for budding entrepreneurs and innovators that aims to inculcate a blend of creativity and leadership. To fulfill our vision, we are currently engaged in organizing speaker sessions named as Envision every month in order to enlighten our students and enable them to think about a problem in a non objective manner. The cell recently conducted a brainstorming session with Mr. Sandeep Kochar, who is currently a storyteller and founder of Blue Minds Consulting LLP. His views on the topic entrepreneurship were really engrossing and insightful. Moving ahead, I'd like to invite our convener, Dr. Samir Lama sir, to say a few words on the auspicious occasion of Women Entrepreneurship Day. He's currently serving as an assistant professor in Kirodimal College, University of Delhi, and has over 10 years of experience in teaching and research. So we'd love to hear from you, sir, now.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you for those kind words. Very good afternoon and happy Guru Purav and a very happy Women's Entrepreneurship Day to everyone present here. Dear students, esteemed colleagues, respected principal ma'am, and our distinguished guest for today's session, Ms. Vandana Tulani. Very warm welcome to all of you. Friends, it's a pleasure to have two distinguished women leaders amongst us today. Ms. Vandana Tulani, who is founder and chief executive officer at Convanto, and also top 10 women leaders in wealth management in 2021. And we also have our respected principal ma'am, Professor Viva Singh Chauhan, who is the first woman principal of Kirodimal College, a premier institution of higher learning in Delhi. And it's an honor for all the participants here that on this auspicious day, that's Women's Entrepreneurship Day, both our women leaders will be sharing some words of wisdom with all of us today. I'm also informed by our students that our speaker for today's session has a vast experience of over 25 years in international and domestic business advisory. And she also has a keen interest in mentoring startups. That's what I have been said, and building high team performance, high performing teams. So I would urge our students to be in touch with ma'am and get relevant guidance on the intricacies of wealth management or starting the business, and see if there can be any possible collaboration that we can have with Convanto in the forthcoming days. All right. I think I'll not take much time with this. Once again, I welcome all of you in the webinar, and I look forward to a very enriching session ahead. Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your enlightening words. Now, may I take immense pleasure to invite our principal, Professor Vibha Singh Chauhan, ma'am, to enlighten us with a few words. She has done exceptionally well in the field of literature and has over 34 years of teaching experience. Her research articles have been published in international books and columns. She has been awarded with the John Benjamin Prize for her contribution in literature. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you very much, Ishika. Thanks for introducing me so generously. It is my pleasure, and I must tell you that I am looking forward to this talk because it is very rarely we think of how to invest our money and manage it. I am grateful to Madam Vandana Tulani, who has such a wonderfully varied range of activities, but one of her most outstanding achievements has been that she is identified as one of the top 10 women leaders in wealth management in 2021. So our heartiest congratulations, madam. I'm sure it is very, very well deserved. And we are extremely proud that you are here amidst us. Annure, our entrepreneurship cell, is quite young, but they have been extremely active, and each time they have a program, I think it adds to my knowledge quite a lot. As academics, we are pretty poor in wealth management. The first thing is we have adequate wealth, not too much, but still, I do believe that management is important with any amount of wealth one creates through business, through professions, and whatever entrepreneurship that is possible. This cell actually is geared to direct and guide basically our students in the realm of entrepreneurship. And this talk, I'm sure, will cover that. But what is extremely important is that I suppose its focus would be on how to manage, preserve, increase, um, distribute, or gift tax, and in connection with tax, how to manage tax on this wealth. And these are actually areas which many of us leave unattended, because for many of us, I'm talking of my generation, these areas are seen as areas which are gray for especially people who do not have anything much directly to do with finance and investment. So I'm sure it's going to be extremely educating and informative for all of us. And I'm very, very glad also to hear that Madam Vandana Tulani is a mentor, and she has mentored lots of startups. Because we do have a kind of incubation center, and we are planning to formalize it and shift it to another location so that it gets more systemized. And often it happens that incubation is another gray area where one gets lots of very, very diverse kind of responses from its need, very, very strong need, as well as not needed at all. So I'm sure there is a need and we believe it. And at least I think as a college, we would be happy if we could be guided in that area as well. I'm asking, demanding too much from Madam Tulani, but I'm sure she's very capable of doing that. So not only are we looking forward to your talk, Madam, we also hope to have some kind of long-term connection with you. And our students, as if they do get in touch with you more regularly, they are extremely bright and on the roll as such, and they do need guidance. So thank you once again for coming and agreeing to talk to all of us, and very warm welcome. My thanks to the organizing team of students, all the participants who are here. And it is indeed a fortunate coincidence that Guru Parab and the Women's Entrepreneurship Day falls on the same day, and that is when we are having this talk. So I look forward to this, and welcome once again.
Thank you, ma'am, for your empowering words. On November 19, we mark Women Entrepreneurship Day, a day which is spearheaded by Women Entrepreneurship Day organization to celebrate and support women in business worldwide. Today, in collaboration with Girl of Disha, we are honored to have Ms. Vandana Tolani, who is the founder as well as CEO of Convento amongst us. With more than 25 years of experience in international business advisory as well as fundraising, she is truly an inspiration to all the women who are willing to start their journey. She was named one of the top 10 women leaders in wealth management in 2021. Her brand, Convando, comes under the top 10 women entrepreneur brands. We are thrilled to have you here amongst us, ma'am. Before I hand over the mic to her, I want everyone to be interactive as well as drop their questions in the chat box. We will be surely addressing them towards the end of the session. Now, over to you, ma'am.
So, first of all, thank you for this warm and such a big warm welcome. Thank you, Principal Ma'am, and for saying such good words. I'm truly humble. Without further delay, I'll just quickly introduce all of you to myself. I was in Singapore and Jakarta for 15 years in investment banking, and I had my own family office fund there. This is my 7th year back in India. I did investments, then I went back to advisory. Currently, I'm connected with 300 investors globally. We are a global entity, we pick up global deals. I've given 160 talks all over the world that can be seen on YouTube, which includes the podcast as well. And apart from this, as everybody has already mentioned, I've been awarded as the top 10 women leaders in wealth management 2021. My brand Convanto comes under the top 10 women entrepreneur brands along with Nykaa. So that's a great achievement, and looking forward for today's session. I'm just going to share my screen, and today's topic is decoding the finance industry. After the PPT, I would request all of you to ask questions. It could be related to investment banking or to the topic that we have. I have created a short PPT to explain. 1 second, I'll just share. Is my screen visible?
Yes, ma'am, it's visible.
It's visible? Okay. Now, today's topic is decoding the finance industry. My introduction already all of you have seen, so I'll just skip this page. Now, today's learning outcomes I had created because this was for a college. So today you will be better equipped to understand the various facts of finance industry globally with the knowledge about education-based job roles, skills needed for various finance job, growth possibilities and trisection, and futuristic avenues and paradigm shifts in finance. So the first thing is understanding finance. The finance field is the one that requires skills that are both technical and soft skills. When we say technical skills, it means the certifications, the degree, the analytic abilities, the aptitudes, etc. When we say soft skills, it means communication, leadership, efficiency, marketing, understanding, and interpersonal skills. What finance entails is, for decades, financial professionals have come from 6 major industries. One is the bankers, the accountants, the financial advisors, finance, financial analyst, investment management, and insurance agent. So typically, mine is an investment bank. I was an investor before, but I'm not an investor anymore. So typically, my role is to connect startups with the relevant investors and help them get equity investments. Also, we groom them in the sense that we make them investor ready. So we create their documentations like pitch decks, financial models and valuations, and their business plan. So for me, financial advisory and investment management is what we look into it broadly. Now, the biggest few, these 6 industries intake millions of graduates and professionals, each other offering hundreds of roles that require specialized skills. Let's look at the most common and sought after roles first. One is the corporate finance, investment banking, which is the capital market, strategy and business development, management consultancy, private equity and venture capital, hedge funds, investment research and management, and banking and finance. So these sectors you can get good job roles. So if you want to get into finance and into a job, then you can look into these. Then corporate finance. Let's see what is corporate finance. We have to focus on investing and financing decisions through projections, valuations, finance resources, capital structuring and management, risk management. And these are some of the top companies that, do these things. In this, the job comes under treasury management, financial planning, corporate development, finance manager, CFO, investor relations, controller, and credit manager. So these are the different job roles. The best is a CFO role because you get to manage the money of the company and advise the founders as to how to manage their money. Why I say this is, we had a case where we got angel investments for a company, and the founder used it to buy a car because he didn't know how to manage the money that he received. So the money that is given by the investors to a startup is to expand the business, is to use it for their marketing, for their working capital and other needs, for their technology needs. It's not for buying personal stuff. So in case there are many founders, they only know how to burn the money. They don't know how to manage the money. And managing the money is an art. So typically, in olden days, women were not recognized in this industry because they were not considered business savvy. They were not considered, expert in managing money. And they were more, guided towards taking care of homes and nurturing their children than doing such strong work like how the men do. Then did I read this one? This one is done. Yeah. Then comes investment banking. What is investment banking? It focuses on advisory and underwriting roles on financing, merger activities, raising capitals, market research, private wealth building. So investment banking is a very good opportunity that you can pick up in case you want to become an entrepreneur, because there is lots to learn in this field. The top companies in this are JP Morgan, Goldman Sachs, Kellogg's, Morgan Stanley. Now, what are the different roles that you can get is sales and networking, trading, financial analysis, private wealth. You can also make pitch decks. If you are good at content writing, you can pick that up. There are a lot of podcasts done on startups. Your Story writes a lot of articles. So typically, there's a lot that you can do in this industry: mergers and acquisitions, strategic advisory, advising somebody how to build their business. Apart from them, you can be an advisor on a fund, on the board of a fund. There are lots of things that come along with raising capital in investment banking. Then comes investment management. Purely AMCs, asset management corporations, merger-oriented, buy-side purchase investment securities, sell-side transactional support and advisory roles. And again, I've listed some of the top companies. Now, these are the different jobs that you can pick up in sales, in trading, in sell-side equity research. Typically in our business, there's a lot of research required. So if you're good in research, then you can pick up the research side. Mutual funds, then there is hedge funds, funds of funds, pensions and insurances, endowment funds, wealth management. So these are the different areas. And then comes private equity. Equity investments in non-public and alternative assets leveraged buyouts, venture growth and mezzanine capital, angel investing, all this come under private equity. There are lots of private equity firms, some of which I have listed here, who do huge investments with big companies. Like now you see a lot of IPOs are also being created. Even in loss-making companies, IPOs are happening. So there is a change in the way we look at things. So to give you an example, when demonetization had hit us, many of us didn't know how to use Paytm and we were skeptical to use it. Now even the milkman, the vegetable man, almost every second person knows how to use Paytm because we were forced to use. Also, when the pandemic hit us, again, we didn't take proactive actions on things. We didn't know how to use Zoom. Many of us didn't know how to use StreamYard, Teams, all these meeting platforms. Only when we were forced to use, we got to know that the value of these virtual platforms. So when we are forced to learn things, we automatically get into learning things. So the typical need of the hour is be proactive, be progressive. You don't need to, be skeptical about learning anything, which will help you to grow and help you in a lot, to develop your skills. I would also recommend all of you to read a lot. You could read the Forbes articles. There's a lot of information which keeps you updated in terms of how to make yourself totally digital, reform yourself into a digital entity, and what are the different things, the trends that keep coming up. So keep yourself updated on those. The jobs in private equity are private equity and venture, capital investment thesis, financial modeling, investment memorandums, and fund administrations and networking. So, these are the different things that you can get into a private equity firm. Then comes business development strategies. Now, these strategies are internal and corporate function and innovation. And other works in this are consulting, general management, growth, product development, planning, joint ventures, value creations. These are some of the companies that I've listed: Deloitte, EY, McKinsey, BCG. The jobs in these firms you can get as M&A professionals, strategic planning, internal consulting, corporate strategies, customer acquisitions. So this is the business development strategy. We also provide roles of business development, and we do a lot of fee sharing. We have a lot of affiliate partners all around the world, many of which are women. Banking, accounting, and insurance. So these are some of the other sectors: commercial banking, from risk management to accounts, operations, risk and financial management. And then we have public and private accountants. These apply principles of accounts to keep track of the finances of entities. And there's auditors. Then insurance assesses risk, financial security, financial planning, and policy making. Now, risk related work for insurance, pension, finance, AMC, and other companies to identify and minimize risks. So these are some of the things required: actuary, mathematics, statistics, financial theory to analyze financial consequence of a risk. This is also an art. Risk management, help management prepare for operational, business, environmental, and financial risks. Regulatory risks, mostly governmental and policy related. So you can get into some risk departments. Then the road doesn't end here. There are several other roles that are highly sought and after a high level, like you can go into lending, where you'll have debt and risk managing companies that look for credit assessing professionals. Fintech companies work for startups at finance roles, CFO possibilities, financial software developers. And in government organizations, you can get into RBI, banking associates, think tanks, microeconomic policy analysis, finance ministry, and these kind of roles. So there's a lot of opportunity in the finance industry, as you can see. And some of the interesting roles could be forex management to assess foreign markets, capital manager, forex exposure, treasury roles, real estate, managing collateral management for financial assets, related to property, brokerage, leasing. And then comes commodity and stock brokering, global phenomenon with cryptocurrency. As you can see, a lot of cryptocurrencies have come into play. So my previous talk, many students in Jindal Business School, or is it Jindal Global Business School? I forget the name. They are already developing cryptocurrencies. They are already playing and trading in the crypto market. In India, the regulations and the laws don't allow us to do that. But eventually, I think India will also accept that cryptocurrencies and blockchains can be very, very useful and lucrative to earn. And then let's see the future. With the world of finance constantly changing, one needs to keep these things in mind. Adaptation, or you can say adoption of technology, be it fintech, software, or digital transformation, is inevitable and transitionary. I had a friend who lost a job during COVID, but she didn't. She had forgotten that she can use her LinkedIn. She had forgotten that she can use social media, or she can use small things like a WhatsApp story to turn into an entrepreneur and get some business. So once she started doing that, she got a lot of work. And these simple things, we use WhatsApp stories for showing off a bit, like birthdays, parties and all. Instead of that, we can use it for business. Say you have the skill of baking cakes, you can start putting pictures of those cakes, and try to sell it in your community. Or you are doing something in cryptocurrency, or you're creating a software. So each time you have a new story, people look at it and they get curious about it. If it is business related, you will definitely get a lot of business. Now, decentralization and alternative investments. Nowadays the traditional norms and power authorities are shifting slowly. So you can get into, these kind of industries which will come up soon. Certifications, acquiring the right knowledge with capabilities for practical help with, indefinitely boost your job opportunities. So, if you have enough skills, I think at any point in time of life, you can start from scratch. So when I came back to India, I literally started Convanto from scratch and built it up without a backing. I can say that if I had backing, maybe this award that I got in 2021, I would have got 7 years ago. So, I think it's very important for women to have some skill that at any point in time of life, you can utilize that and rebuild yourself. It's very important to have technology skills, basic technology skills, how to use Facebook, how to use LinkedIn, keep your LinkedIn enhanced, how to make your own website. So all these things are really important. And that's about it. I'm open to take questions now. I have stopped sharing my screen.
Sure, ma'am. Thank you so much for your valuable insight. Your comments were truly contagious and interesting. So now it's the time for Q&A round, and we'll be picking some interesting questions from the chat box, and it would be great if you can answer them.
Sure, definitely.
Yeah, so everyone is requested to drop your questions in the chat box, and we'll be picking them up. Okay, so the first question is here. Parag has asked that why do you think investors prefer on investing in a new startup instead of any reputed company?
No, investors invest in all kind of companies, not only new startups but also reputed ones. It depends on what exactly you are looking for, what exactly the company is looking for, what investor they want. They basically look at three things. One is the founder's background. What is your background, in the sense where were you educated? Do you have any like today you saw that I told my background. So if I have a strong background, people can say, oh, they have a small background, strong background, they can get investments easily. That is one thing. So that is then the second thing they look at, what technology you are bringing on table and whether it's promising. I know a company that at just at the MVP stage and having zero revenue, they got $40 million funding. So, what I'm trying to say is any company can get funded as long as they are doing things in the right manner. For instance, you are selling yourself to the investors. So how will you sell yourself? It's like when you sell chocolates, you're going to wrap it nicely. You're going to present yourself nicely, and the chocolate gets sold in the market. So similarly, for a startup, it's important how you wrap yourself. What is the wrapping consists of your business plan, your pitch decks, your financial models. That attracts the investors. And what is it that, why should the investors hard earned money be put into that? So you have to also put in those documents that what is in store for those investors. Uh, so typically that is the thing. And I hope I've answered the question.
Yes, ma'am, surely. So the next question is from Yash, and he has asked that can you throw some light upon fintech as an upcoming field?
Yeah, fintech is a very hot sector. It's an upcoming field. It's already been there since 2, 3 years. There are lots of investments happening in the fintech area. There are different kinds of fintech. I would suggest Yash to go on Forbes site and read a lot about fintech companies. You can also go to Your Story and read about these different types of companies and come up with your own idea about a fintech startup and then get back to me on LinkedIn.
All right, ma'am. So the next question is from Shaurya. He says that funds are the key factors for every venture. So how did you raise capital for the startup, and what are the difficulties that you face while doing so?
So the key factors are, firstly, your pitch deck needs to be in order, your business plan, your financial model, because that's your selling point. What founders do is they reach at the wrong VC and they do a lot of cold calling. So you need to check the websites of the VC funds. Are they a food fund? Are they a technology fund? What is it that they invest in? Sometimes founders of food will reach out to a technology fund. So you have to understand the thesis of these funds by reaching out to their websites and checking thoroughly, and also having an investment banker on board who can guide you as to how to reach to the right fund, because they have direct relationships. So these are some of the key factors. Having a complementary team in your startup, a proper marketing team, a technology team, that complements each other also is what the investors look at. So that's really one of the key factors. So when your alumni gets created when you are in college and when you pass out, etc. So you have to treasure that, because the maximum work you will get at some stages from your alumni. I have seen many investment bankers who are males in my field, they get a lot of work from their alumni. They don't have to go anywhere. So, you have to think about those things, what you're creating, what is the problem that you are solving as a founder, what is the drive you have. And also investors look at a humble founder. Humble doesn't mean you have to be submissive. Humble means you need to be grounded, you need to be firm. So I think that's really important.
All right, ma'am. So the next question is from Devi, and she has asked that there still exists a gender bias when it comes to workforce participation. So what do you think is holding back a lot of women entrepreneurs from starting their own ventures, and how to tackle the same?
Typically, women are not allowed to make decisions. From the beginning, when they are born, pink becomes for girls and blue becomes for boys. Soccer becomes for boys and dolls become for girls. So that the parents put in that conditioning. Cooking has to be for girls and something else has to be boys. When that thing stops in our homes, automatically we will create a place where women can make decisions. Women need to make decisions on their own. I made all my decisions on my own. I didn't allow anybody else to make the decision. I have a daughter, she makes her own decision, even if it's related to food. In India, we force feed the child. We force them to eat certain food which they don't like. So even the food, it starts from minor decisions, from the clothing, from the food eating habits, and so many other things. So once you are able to make your own decision, even if you make wrong decisions, you will actually learn the maximum from your mistakes. So I think to be allowed to each individual, whether it's a boy or a girl, to make their own decisions is very, very important. Home conditioning needs to be waived out and other factors. So women are also not considered business savvy. Women are not considered to, considered as people who have the talent to do things. That's about it.
All right, ma'am.
So
the next question is from Dharya, and he has asked that what professional courses are the best if we want to enter the investment banking industry?
You can get into a CFA. There is a CFA. My intern did that, and then she got into a very good financial analyst role. You can do that. That is one skill set you can get. You can see what are your skills. Are you good at content writing? Then maybe you can get into pitch deck making. If you're good in designing, there's a lot of work in this industry. What are you good at? Typically, are you good at managing money? Then you can become a fund manager. So depends on your skill set actually.
All right, ma'am. So the next question is from Vardhan, and he has asked that is it compulsory for a startup to be backed by a venture capital firm like Y Combinator to increase its growth exponentially?
Any person who is backed up, whether it's by a Y Combinator or any other place, of course, the growth is faster, the recognition is there because you already have that thing. Look, I am from Y Combinator. Y Combinator has a name. So it will work wonders for you. Today, if I say, look, I'm from Sachin, say, I'm from ENY, from this place, or, I give some fancy names, of course, it will work well. It's all about positioning yourself, how you position yourself, what is the language that you use when you position yourself, what are your behavioral skills. So more than your education, these things are observed also. What is the drive that you have? Are you smart enough to multiply your money fast? Are you able to bootstrap your startup? What are the things that you're able to do? Who is in your company? Do you have a complementary team? These are the factors.
Yeah, so basically the skill set matters more than education. Like when we talk about practical world.
Of course, because rote learning will never lead you anywhere. So you look at 90% of the students in India. They do rote learning, but when the practical thing comes, they don't know how to do. So the more practical knowledge you have, and hands-on experience with everything, don't you think along with that education you will be able to move forward? But if you don't have any skills, you've just mug up everything and written on the paper, so how is that going to help in any way?
Yes, ma'am. So the next question is from Harshit, and he has asked that the recent times of COVID-19 outbreak have had varied impacts on different industries. So how did the pandemic affect your enterprise, and how did you tackle it?
I had a gala time during the pandemic because I didn't have to go for meetings. So I sat on one chair and I closed, I think, 5 to 7 deals in 2020. My business did not get affected during the pandemic because everything went digital, and I did everything online like the way I'm doing, including my events, my deals, my meetings. So from morning till evening, I would just sit on one chair and finish up. It became easier for me because I could manage things at home, as well as I had to travel less, and I saved a lot of time and did productive things sitting at home. It didn't. I think one should not think that pandemic actually did wonders for many. I can tell you, many people started, getting online business, which they were doing offline before. So I think it was a boon to many and a boon to me. In 2020, I have closed 4 deals just sitting on one chair, which could have never happened if I had to move around for meetings or close deals, because typically in a day you can only do 2 or 3 meetings. Sitting on a chair, you can actually do 10 to 15 meetings.
Right. So it depends upon the type of industry you are engaged in, right?
Yeah. Even I think many teachers, many other industries also gained a lot. The only thing is they didn't know how to use the technology to make the maximum of everything. So they were stuck. Like if you look at the CBSE teachers, they didn't know how to use Zoom. They were struggling with Zoom. For them, it was a shock of the stay, this thing. And on a Zoom call, there were 40 students. How are you going to teach 40 students on a Zoom call who are like little kids who need to get distracted? So kids were playing with Zoom. They were kicking out their friends. They were playing around with this thing. So keeping yourself on mute and playing games. So those were the factors. So if we had educated the children and the teachers how to use these technologies productively, we would have gained a lot. So what happens is that typically we don't impart that education, that how to use Instagram so that you can make money. So I'll give you example. During the pandemic, there was a cake company with zero revenue. So my daughter wanted to do something productive. So she started doing their websites. She made their Facebook page. She made their Insta page. She helped them with everything, and their revenue became 3 times more. So instead of playing around on Insta groups, she used the time to do something productive and make earnings out of it. So I'm just giving you examples. Like it's important to know how to use technology so productively that you make earnings out of it and not do negative things on it.
All right, ma'am.
Sorry.
So we have a next question from Tanuj, and he has asked that what sort of questions that venture capitalists ask are not allowed to ask from the startup founders.
Okay, just give me a second. I need to put my light back. Yeah, sorry, what was your question?
Ma'am, the question was ki, what sort of questions venture capitalists are not allowed to ask from startup founders?
Venture capitalists.
Yes, ma'am, VCs are not allowed to ask.
VCs will always ask you good questions related to your startup. I mean, they'll never ask you any questions which is out of the box because they are highly professional people. They are sitting on the board of big funds, $200 million funds, $400 million funds. So they don't have time to waste at all. Typically, they will not ask you anything which is out of the box. It will be all related to your startup. They'll only give you 30 minutes. I don't think they ask anything absurd. So there's no question that they should, they have to deep dive into the system. So they'll definitely ask you, how much is your revenue? What is your background? They'll get into minute details because they want to understand the business. So that's it. I mean, there's no like a rule book for it.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is by Rohit Gupta. These days, there are a large number of IPOs which are being issued, and these are being subscribed by a heavy number of times. Even though when we come to see that there is a low liquidity in the economy, so what do you think? What impacts do these IPOs have on the economy?
What's your question? I didn't understand. Lots of IPOs are happening. I understood that.
So how do you think that these IPOs impact the economy, like the liquidity in the economy?
See, the thing is that in India, we have a herd mentality. If one person does IPO, everybody will do IPO. If one person is putting in fintech deals, everybody will put in fintech deals. So typically, there is a lot of capital in the market. IPOs will not hit the economy in any way because in India and all these funds, they have a lot of capital. They are looking to make investments. The only thing is we have to reach out to the right fund and get the investments done. And there is enough capital in India. Economy is not at this thing. You can see so many things happening. Our new parliament is getting designed by Pradhan Mantri ji. So you can imagine how much capital we have.
So the next question is by Vivan Jha. He wants to ask, like, should we invest in NFTs?
Yeah, why not? You should try small amounts. I wanted to do 3 months back in a coin, but I got skeptical about it. Now that is 3 times more. Had I done a small amount, then I would have got so much money. So try small amounts. Start doing trading. You never know what you get a jackpot somewhere. But don't get into a gambling kind of a habit, like, and start, doing wrong things, but just try small these investments and see if your money is multiplying. See, you'll either lose the money or it will get multiplied. So why not take a chance with a small amount and see? But do it wisely. Ask an expert about it before you do. Invest in the right platform. Don't get duped by these crypto guys and NFT guys.
Okay. Surely. So the next question is by Ankush Atal. He wants to ask, like, according to you, since you have quite an acquaintance with the finance industry, like, so what source of financing is most viable for the Indian startups?
I think equity financing is one of the best ways to get into, get the right kind of investments. And debt is a little bit dicey at times. I don't do debt. I only do equity. Equity is a classy way to get investments and, get the right kind of investors on board.
Thank you, ma'am. So the next question is by Vardhan Kalantri. Like, she wants to ask, does cryptocurrency have a chance at having a response when it is in the US?
Sorry, say again.
Does cryptocurrency have a chance at having a response when it is in the US despite the government's constant efforts to postpone its legality in India?
In India, it is still not legalized at all. You have to try it in other countries. Here, it is still going to take a while. The thing is, there is a lot of corruption in India. So the moment all these things get legalized, it's difficult to tap, which one is the true one, which one is the scam one. And if it is legalized, one can see easily. And then, of course, all the money exposure is there. Nobody wants to have these strict legal applications because ultimately our India is a bit corruption, and the government and all, they do misuse the money, etc., as you know. So I think that's why they don't want to legalize it.
All right, ma'am. So now we hope that we were able to address all the questions. And now I'd like to invite Yash Sakuja, who is currently serving as the president of INNOR, to extend a vote of thanks. Over to you, Yash.
Yeah, he's been smiling, I saw.
Thank you, Ishika. Thanks, ma'am. Firstly, I would like to wish everyone a happy Guru Parab and a happy Women's Entrepreneurship Day. And it is a great honor for me, to propose this vote of thanks to all those who have helped us in making this session a resounding success. First of all, I'd like to thank our speaker, Ms. Vanna Twani, ma'am, for making the session very meaningful and interesting. So thank you for that, ma'am. It's been a true privilege to hear your insights and on the nuances of the world of finance. In today's day and age, when things like IPOs and personal finance are the new buzzwords, I'm sure that this session has answered a lot of questions for our young entrepreneurs. Nextly, I would like to thank our speaker, thank our principal, ma'am, for taking out time from a busy schedule and gracing the event with her presence. Thank you so much, ma'am. I would also like to thank our beloved staff advisor, Dr. Samil Amar sir, for his guidance and moral support to all of us in the cell. And a very hearty thank you to our amazing hosts for the evening, Bavleen and Ishika. This session could not have been possible without the dedication and efforts of our team of NR. So kudos to every single one of you present here and who has made even a single effort to make this event a success. Finally, I would like to thank the audience today, and I would also like to thank for the collaboration of the Girl Up Disha and KMC, who are very active in protecting the women's rights. And so we wanted to, initially it was an idea to just collaborate with them on the Women's Entrepreneurship Day. So thanks for that, guys. And finally, I thank the audience who have turned up in such great numbers for this wonderful session. Thank you so much for your cooperation. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Yash.
Over to you, Babli.
Yeah, thank you, Yash. So now we request each one of you to turn on your cameras so that we can have a good group photograph.
Yeah.
Please turn on your cameras, everyone.
Is Principal Ma'am still there, or she has left the chat?
Ma'am, she has left the meet.
Okay, please tell her. Please do convey to her, I'm open to the incubation idea. I can help you with that. Yeah.
Sure,
ma'am.
Yeah.
All right, ma'am. I think the screenshots are done now. So with that, I'd like to conclude today's session. Also, we won't give you an opportunity to miss us much. Therefore, we'll be back very soon with our next episode of Envision in the month of December. You are invited to connect with us through our social media handles. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much,
Bye.
everyone. Bye, ma'am. We were great. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
My pleasure also. I like Yash. She was smiling all throughout.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Balveen. Thank you, Ishika. Great host. Bye.
Thank you so much, ma'am.